All right, so this should be actually August 27th, uh, the August 27th part 2 percussion video. I kind of lied at the end of that, the actual 27th part 1. I kind of forgot to go over lesson 10. So this is actually actually August 27th part 2, and will also be the August 28th. Okay, because we're not learning anything new on the August 28th one because it was supposed to be for a test, but we're not going to have a test. Okay, so this is just the August 27th, or sorry, this is the August 27th part 2 percussion video along with the August 28th. Okay, but we'll just get to the end later. Okay, so let's go ahead and start off. Get out lesson 10. Okay, I'm not gonna go over every note naming worksheet. Okay, because by now you should be able to do it on your own. Okay, if you ever have any questions about it, just go back and look at the video. Go back and look at the videos where I taught it. Okay, you're all smart individuals and can do that. Okay. So I'm not going to go over the note naming sheets, but I'm expect them to be done. Okay, just because I don't go over them in this video, I expect them to be done because that's how you get marked for your work. Okay, so go ahead and get out the lesson 10 packet over syncopation. Okay, syncopation is a very common thing as a percussion player and some band players. Okay, but as a percussion player, it is something very common. So go ahead and get that out, and we're going to start on it. Okay. All right, so hopefully you're on the lesson 10, okay? I've already got numbers 1 and 2 written on the, okay, I take that back. I got the first two measures of number 1 and 2 written up on the board, okay? Um, what they're showing, if you look at it, okay? If you look at the top of the page, it says syncopation means to place emphasis on a strong note that occurs on a weak beat, okay? And so what that means, if you look at the number 2, okay, the strong notes, and we're really just talking about the second measure in each one, okay? The strong notes on in measure 2 are the quarter notes, okay? The quarter, usually when they're talking about a strong note, it's the longer note value, okay? And quarter notes are longer in value than eighth notes. So when it says is to place emphasis on a strong note that occurs on a weak beat. The weak beats, okay? The weak beat is the upbeat. Okay? Down beats are strong beats. The upbeats are the weak beat. Okay? So what they're doing in syncopation is to put emphasis on the strong note on the weak beat. Okay? So how this one comes on the weak beat, okay? And then these two are not technically on a weak beat, but kinda, okay? But right here is where really the weak beat with strong note goes, okay? We wouldn't really count this as a weak beat because it's actually going to be beat 3 and then beat 4, okay? We might could count this one as a weak beat because this will come on the and count too. But really, this is the strong note on the weak beat, okay? This is a weak note, a weak note on a weak beat, okay? But putting emphasis on, like I said, means syncopation means to place emphasis on a strong note that occurs on a weak beat. All right. So let's look at line number 1. Okay. Sorry, I'm over here churning and tossing on the floor. Okay. All right. So we know how to count the first measure. Okay. Big 1, big and, big 2, big and, 3, 4. Okay. Now, if we were to count the second measure, we would count it 1 and 2 and 3, 4, like this measure, okay? But we wouldn't say 2, okay? 2 would be silent, okay? So to get a big 1, a big and, a small 2, okay? Because remember, at the end of a tie, at the end of a tie, the number or the and count, whichever it happens to be on, is always small, okay? And then the big and then big 3 and big 4, okay? So when we count this, okay, or when we tap this is what it sounds like. 1 and 2, okay, sorry, let's start over here. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 3, 4. Okay? Easy peasy, right? All right. So let's go down to the first two measures of line number 2. Okay, we got 1 and 2 and 3, 4, okay, just like that up there. And then we have the eighth note this first eighth note's on the and beat. Or I mean, sorry. This first eighth note's on beat 1 since it's the first thing. Well, after every eighth note, there has to be an and count. Okay? That's always got to happen, okay? Let me say it again. After an eighth note, there always has to be an and count. So this quarter note would get that and count, okay? But it would also get beat 2. All right? But we wouldn't say 2, okay? We won't say 2. All right? So it's sent, and okay, if you can answer to me why that quarter note gets the and 2, then good for you, okay? The reason, okay, sorry, I said that also terribly, okay? But the reason why this quarter note right here gets the and 2 is because in a quarter note, there are 2 eighth notes. Okay, in a quarter note there are 2 eighth notes. So since it starts off with the and count, it also has to get the downbeat of 2. All right. So look, 1 and 2. This gets and 2. Okay. So since the quarter note gets and 2, we have to do an and for the beat 2, and that's where that comes in. Okay, and then of course 3, 4. Okay, so what this is showing right here, this note corresponds, okay, this quarter note corresponds to this tie. Okay, that tie up there is the same thing. So look, if I was to or if I was to click and count this, okay, I'll start back up here at number 1. Listen, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 3, 4. All right, so watch it down here now. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 3, 4. They sounded, if you listen carefully, you would have noticed that they sounded exactly the same. Okay, they sounded exactly the same. Okay, so look, listen. I'll do it this time. I'll just do the second measure on each of them with just the marker. Okay, 1, 2, ready, and again. This time I'm doing the second. This one. 1, 2, ready, and. Did you notice they sounded exactly the same? Da 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 da. 1 and 3, 4. Okay. We just won't say 2. All right. In this case, we will not say 2. All right. Am I losing you? I hope I'm not. Okay. Let's do number 3. Okay. Do number 3 real quick. Okay. All right. So hopefully, maybe by now you've gotten done with line number 3. Okay. And so the 2 similar measures in this one. Okay. The 2 measures that are going to sound the same is going to be measure 2 and measure 3. Okay. If you look, they got the tie on the and of 2 attached to the downbeat. Sorry. They get the tie on the and count of 3 tied to the downbeat of 4. Okay, that's where that happens right here. Okay, in this measure, that tie happens on that quarter note. All right, you see how we got quarter, 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 eighth, eighth, quarter, quarter. Okay. They got those 2 eighth notes tied together. Remember, 2 eighth notes tied together make 1 quarter note, okay? So, quarter, 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 eighth, eighth, quarter, those 2 eighth notes, quarter, quarter, eighth, eighth, okay? Those 2 are going to sound exactly the same, all right? So, look, we're going to count it together. Okay, we got big 1, big 2, big 3, and big 4, and, all right? Then we got big 1, big 2, big 3, big and, small 4, big and. Okay, that's got to be a small 4. All right. Then the third measure, we got big 1, big 2, big 3, big and. Okay, and after that and count, make sure you have a small 4. Okay, because the 4 is in that quarter note right there. The 4 is in that quarter note, followed by a last and. Okay, And then last measure, we got 1 and 2, small 2, and big 3, little 4. All right. All right, sorry, I had to go charge my phone just a little bit so it doesn't die during this lesson, okay? I'll try to keep up on it, okay? So we were just looking at number 3, okay? And what I really just want to focus on is these two measures, okay? These two measures are going to sound exactly the same, okay? So look, we got, oh, let me keep my phone, okay? So look, we got 1, 2, 3, and. Right here, we got 1, 2, 3, and. You see how they sound the same? Look, I'll do it without counting. Starting on this measure. Okay, now this measure. You see how they sound exactly the same? Okay, if you add that last measure, okay, we got the downbeat, we got the eighth note on 1 and on 2, on the and on the quarter note, and the and a 2 on the last eighth note. Okay, 1 and 3, 4. Okay, look again. 1 and 3, 4. Okay, so if we were to click and count this whole measure, okay, we'll click and count this whole measure, okay, or whole line. Sorry, whole line. Okay, 1, 2, ready, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, and oh, I messed that up. Sorry, 1 and 3, 4. I messed that up. Sorry. I'll do it one more time because I'm stupid. Okay, 1, 2, ready, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1 and 3, 4. Okay, the biggest mistake that will probably happen in this piece or in this line is between these two eighth notes. Okay, these two eighth notes when you have to go and 1 and, okay, we got and 1 and, those are technically those are 3 eighth notes together, except this is not written as an eighth note, right? It's written as a quarter note, but they're technically 3 eighth notes together because you got the and of 4, then downbeat of 1, and also the upbeat of 1 right there. So look, starting right here, I'll count 1, 2, 3, and 1 and 3. Okay, so we actually have 3 eighth notes right here put together. Okay, it's just this eighth note goes a little. This one is put into a quarter note to go a little bit to make the value a little bit longer. Okay, understand? Kind of a little bit. Kind of understand. I hope you kind of understand. Let's see where my battery's at. Okay, 14%. All right. With that being said, I just want to do one more. Okay, just doing one more. Let's do number 6. Okay, do number 6. Okay, now notice most of those in number 6 start on an eighth note. Okay, most of those start on an eighth note in number 6. So do number 6 real quick. All right, so you should have done number 6. Okay, this one's a little tricky. Okay, I will admit this one's a little tricky. Okay, so the downbeat of every measure is going to be a small 1. Okay, with a dash. Okay, so that eighth note rest comes on beat 1. Those are all going to be 1 small dash. Okay, then you're going to have the and right there, and then small 2, and then a big and for the downbeat of 2. All right, and then you're going to have 3, 4. All right, same thing right here. Okay, you're going to have the and, big and, small 2, the upbeat of 2, and then big 3, little 4. All right, this third measure is really tricky, okay? So the one downbeat of 1, the eighth rest, okay? Then you're going to have the upbeat, big and, little 2, the down or the upbeat of 2 right here, so the and of 2 on that eighth note. Then you're going to have the downbeat of 3 right here, and then the upbeat of 3 is right there, and the downbeat of 4 is right there, and then the upbeat of 4 is right there. All right. Ooh, wrote that wrong. So we got and 2, and 3, 4. Okay. Sorry if you can't read that. Okay. Oh, I'm running out of time for this video. Okay. Sorry, I ran out of time for this video. Go find part 2 of this, or I guess this would be part 3 of the August 27th. Go find part 3 of the August 27th.